Okay.
All right. Well,
Right.
welcome to the September. I will remember what month it is eventually. Meeting of ANC3C's Public Safety Committee. I am Adam Prinzo, the commissioner for 3C02 and one of the co-chairs of this committee. And then I will introduce Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick Nash, the other co-chair with ANC3C08. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting and a particular welcome to Lieutenant Johnson, who I see has been able to join. And I do apologize for what I understand has been difficulty getting into the link, and also welcome Captain Haskins, who I see has also joined. And again, apologize for some of the link difficulties. Some of the other participants had to try 2 or 3 times, so not sure the reason for it. But once again, sorry for the delay. But welcome you both, and would like to get started. After our summer hiatus, we have a lot to talk about, and we know you all have been very busy over the summer and including in the last several weeks. So we look forward to your update, on crime trends, mitigation measures, your efforts with in light of the federal surge of resources, and any other thing that you'd like to bring to our attention. I know there will be questions, and I also will have a question about something that was on the listserv today, which seemed to be not so much a police issue, but a prosecutorial issue that we can also talk about. So with that, I'll turn it over to Captain Haskins and Lieutenant Johnson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lieutenant Johnson. I'm start off the meeting here with some stats. First of all, I'm Lieutenant Paul Johnson from 2nd District, which includes ANC3C. ANC3C includes, as you know, Cleveland Park, Woodley Park, Massachusetts Heights, and the Plain Gardens. First of all, we had one sex abuse, which took place last month in August on Klingle Road. We had one burglary, which took place on August 30th in the 2600 block of 36th Place Northwest. That was in PSA 204. Other than that, we had 29 thefts and 3 theft from autos, which is pretty good. In reference to the thefts, most of those take place at, for instance, the 2600 block of Connecticut at the CVS. We had 9 from thefts from just that location. The CVS is still ongoing problem with thefts. We do make arrests there. We had 1 arrest 2 days ago. We locked up a female for theft. Unfortunately, she was a resident. She lived in the area, like maybe 2 blocks away. But we did make an arrest 2 days ago for theft from CVS. And also, we had no serious ADWs, no robberies, no homicides to report. Just those 34 crimes. And with that, we're going to just take some of your questions and open the floor for everyone else to ask questions for the police department.
Okay. I mean, given, the most recent summer season, would you expect, in the normal course, does crime across, generally speaking, across various categories spike up in the summer? And did you see that spike? If not, is your sense that it's due to the general downward trend that we've experienced over the last year or so? Is it due to other reasons?
Well, in general, most crimes, the crimes that take place like robberies, and they usually go up robberies and then into shootings. And when you have more people outside, more of those crimes occur. But in the last couple of weeks, those crimes have been trending down, like the carjackings and the robberies. They went down significantly. And that's due to, I guess, the federal partners that's out there helping us out. All the agencies that we have, the National Guard, all that's been a big help.
Lisa, the following question, then I'll turn it over to the other commissioners. So, my sense is that the surge in federal resources, whether they be agencies with which you normally partner, or the, more unusual National Guard deployments or ICE and so forth were occurring in other parts of the city. Critics might say not even in the areas where the highest crime rates are being experienced. Were there many resources deployed in the PSAs that for which you all are responsible?
Captain Hesse's probably answers questions better than I can. 'Cause I can only speak for the second district where I work, and we do see a lot of these agencies, such as FBI, the ATF, the ICE agents. They're out there, and they do partner with MPD. You see a lot of traffic enforcement. They respond to Part 1 offenses. They help us out. They do respond, and more presence does help us out, and it does reduce crime.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Thank
see
you.
roadblocks out. They've been doing roadblocks and traffic enforcement a lot. You see them a lot out there. They're very active.
Okay. Including in these PSAs.
Yeah. Like I say, I can only speak for the second district where I work over across the river. I don't know what they're experiencing over there,
Yeah.
but here they've been active. I'm sure you've seen them out there.
Okay. Well, thanks. I know others have questions. Thanks again.
I just have one question. Because you said that there was 9 robberies at the CVS.
Thefts, sir. Yep.
Sorry, thefts. There was an MPD cruiser that was out there and it's not there anymore. Do we know what the status is of that MPD cruiser?
That cruiser's definitely out there. She made a lockup, like I say, 2
Okay.
nights ago for theft that took place. It was in progress, and she responded right away. Sometimes she has to respond in different runs, but she's definitely that's
Okay.
definitely
I
supposed to be
just
there.
I hadn't seen her in a while, but it's good to know.
When
I
she make a
could
lockup, she goes got to come back to process, of course, the lockup, but then returns to the area.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So the trend of hijackings were down before the federal assistance, is that correct? Or am I misunderstanding what I've heard?
Even the carjackings?
Yes.
Oh, they went way down. Let me give you an example. Usually at least once or twice a week, I work midnights. We have LPR we just set up all over the city where they read tags.
Okay.
And when they come into a certain part of the city, like Connecticut Avenue, the tag reader, if we get a hit saying there's a stolen car in our district,
Right.
on Connecticut Avenue, or maybe on Mass Avenue, or Wisconsin Avenue, or whatever avenue is on.
Right.
We haven't been getting those hits since this new crime trend that started with the partners here. Like these stolen cars aren't coming here committing crimes because the heightened police presence. So not at night. I can speak for what happens at night. And
So, I'm sorry. Just to clarify, these trends were consistent statistically before the federal surge. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were going down, but they went down significantly over the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so they were trending down, but they went down even more so.
Yes, ma'am. With the more police presence, yes.
I see that.
May I please ask a question?
Sorry.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
In the last several years, I think MPD, particularly our local MPD, has really been working very hard for public outreach and to develop public trust and promoting that we're community working together. And with the federal surge and MPD needing to work with a lot of other agencies in a very public way, where it seems in many places people's civil rights are truly being impinged on. What is that doing to your reputation? All the work you all did to build your reputations, and our local policemen are our friends. I feel that is truly being undermined with the current situation. And I wonder what your strategy are you hoping to salvage that? Or how does that feel from your side? Because I feel that the MPD is back to scaring people. And actually possibly engaging in things that actually are violations of people's civil rights.
That's a great concern, and some things kind of like beyond our control. We have rules at MPD that we follow. We, like you say, we engage the community. We try to establish public trust. We don't violate rights. We don't wear masks. We don't cover our badges. Other agencies, they don't have the same rules that engage that we have. And it looks bad from, outside looking in.
It
And
does.
yep. And I don't like it, but some things that, the NPD, we can't control, that we have to work with at this time. But as far as the crime fighting aspect goes, I've seen a great decrease in the presence, and with those agencies doing what they do is good and bad. And what you're talking about is the bad part. And we don't
One of
have.
these days they're going to go home, and you guys are going to be back to square one.
Yeah.
I just want to piggyback on that because I attended a community town hall with Councilmember Robert White, and I believe it was the acting commander of 6D, probably. And people are frustrated because I mean, I made it known that I love working with the two of you. I saw Captain Haskins at Night Out, but I think not everybody had the same interactions with their local police department more recently that they're used to, and that's not going to help the situation long term. But also, I guess what's frustrating as both an ANC and a resident is just that there's a lack of communication. Like I asked a question of the deputy mayor for public safety and justice, like if I see an MPD cruiser on the street, is it MPD or am I going to get ICE or am I going to get ATF or am I going to get LMNOP or whatever it is that's here today? And she was like, in practicality, it should be MPD. And then the same answer came from the 6D commander, but I got another answer that it could be ICE, it could be this, it could be that, but you should be able to find an MPD personnel at some point. And I just think that for me, if I see an MPD car, I'm just going to assume it's MPD. I'm not going to assume that it's the FBI. So if the communication could be, and I guess that's not on you both, but just more broadly, like what's the reality of who we're dealing with when we call 911, who's showing up? Like, is ICE showing up or is the MPD coming? So I guess like that would just be my only feedback is from what I've been hearing as well.
Well, let me answer it this way. Sometimes you might call 911, say it's for a robbery or a serious crime that took place. You might get everyone showing up. You may see, well, we're primarily going to show up. NPD, we're first. We are going to show up, but other agencies may show up as well. You may get the FBI. You may get, the task force. They're riding together. So you'll get, ICE. You'll get Secret Service, Park Police. A lot of those agencies, they come to these more serious crimes to assist us, with solving these crimes and stopping, the suspects. So, but mainly when you call 911, you're getting MPD. You're going to get us 100%. But sometimes you may get us plus additional agencies.
Is that because you've called them though? I mean, again, I've read in the paper that MPD is calling in the dogs in ways that imperil citizens, and that it's quite troubling. And you just also told us that we haven't had that many serious crimes. So what are they all rolling up for?
But I can speak for the second district. We have had a few shootings in like on Connecticut Avenue at night, a nightlife where I work, and they do show up and help us with the crime scenes and canvassing for suspects. But is that happening in our neighborhood? ANC3C, no. But 2D, we've had a couple incidents where these agencies have shown up on our scenes and helped us, and they ride with our CST crime suppression teams. They partner with them, and they work together for 12 hours a day from like 4 a.m. to 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. They'll be out there partnering with MPD. So they monitor. We don't call them, but they monitor our radios, and they know when these calls come out.
Well, that's helpful, and I think that much of the discussion and debate, and certainly the way the mayor has framed it, is you know, there has long been cooperation and partnership between MPD and certain federal agencies, and you know,
Yes.
living in the second district and in this quadrant of Northwest, we've, you know, of course, seen it over the years, and I think many of us have been grateful for that. That you know, when resources are stretched, that it might be the Secret Service Uniform Division that shows up, or a few years ago when there was a shooting. Fortunately, nobody hurt when John Eaton was a construction site, if I recall correctly. The
Yes.
police were able to follow the suspects when the rules of engagement, you know, limited MPD's ability to pursue. From my perspective, and I think that from a lot of other people, that's productive. And as the mayor said, you know, those partnerships, you know, will continue, are continuing. I would hope always under the general, you know, direction and strategic focus, you know, by the chief of police and with you all in the lead, you know, and I think people welcome that. What's been troublesome again is, you know, the deployment of National Guard resources, which, you know, as an outside observer seem to be you know, a mismatch of training and focus, and bearing in mind that they also serve and are deployed oftentimes far from home to pick up garbage in our parks. Um, and you know, I realize you can't choose your partners, and you know, you are in a situation where you need to work with them. I do appreciate, as I think all of us share the concern about, you know, masked, you know, baklava wearing, you know, federal agents without identification, which has not happened in this country. It happens in Russia and Venezuela and countries like that, you know, without accountability. But, you know, I think it's possible, and I hope in the future that we'll see, you know, the partnership return to, you know, a more even keel what it has been, without, you know, some of the excesses and the questions that we've seen in recent weeks.
Janelle has. Oh, go ahead. And then
I
Janelle.
I was gonna say that we always had, like you said, with that Eaton school shooting, we've always had Secret Service, Park Police. They've always monitored our area, our radios, and they respond without us calling us calling them. Like when that call came up for that shooting at the school, it was a 911 call. We showed up. Secret Service probably got there first. You know, they helped us out, and you know, they can pursue. They have different rules of engagement. They've always helped. But like I say, what's different is now that you know it's it's a mandate where they work with us, and they don't have the same rules of engagement. In all fairness, when I first joined the police department, we weren't required to wear, you know, a badge or a name tag. You would see officers walking around with no name tag on, and it wasn't a violation of our rules. But over time, you know, we adapted. The public said they wanted us to wear badges and, you know, and name tags and give a business card. So now that's part of our general orders. We have to. We've been doing it, and the community likes it, and you know, it works out. But it wasn't always that way. But we wore badges and name tags as a requirement, like we do now.
Well, I know MPD has put a lot of focus into training and strengthening community engagement, and I recognize partnership is a two-way street. And just as, you know, you depend on federal resource partnership, I mean, it's the federal government that imposes great demands on MPD, whether it's for motorcades or special events, or most notably with the January 6th riot several years ago. It was MPD that came to aid. So,
Well, hopefully the federal partners can pick up some of the good things that we do and adapt to their rules as well. You know, hopefully they'll see how we don't wear masks, we identify ourselves and wear name tags, and it helps out with public trust. Hopefully they'll see that, and you know, we're like, hey, maybe we should do that too. But we'll see.
yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see hands, so I apologize if I'm preempting questions. Somebody else should go ahead.
It's me. So I think, you know, with the federal partnerships, we're really kind of beating around the bush. This was a full-on like ICE. This was the 40% of the arrests that were made were related to immigration. So from the AP report of the more than 2,300 arrests made, ICE arrests accounted for 943. And I think, and a lot of that was just people being kidnapped by masked men that were in unmarked cars and vans. Like, that is horrifying. That is horrifying to the community, the families. Like, these people were taken out of their cars with their kids in the back and like just disappeared. That is crazy that that is happening in the streets of the United States of America. So my question to MPD, I don't think you guys are snatching these people. I don't know if you were helping them, but I know the only like ICE enforcement I saw on the Washington Post map that was published a few weeks ago was the one where the DoorDash drivers were across the street from McDonald's. They're not there anymore. And those are very lovely people, just minding their own business, doing delivery, right? So they're gone. I don't know if they're in hiding or if they were disappeared. It's horrifying. So my question is, I know that now that the federal takeover of MPD is like stopped at what, midnight today, midnight last night. Is that at that order that was issued by the chief of police about like you guys can cooperate with ICE, is that gone now? Because the law in the District of Columbia was that you couldn't just give information over to ICE for funsies. So are we doing that again? Are we not doing that again? Where does that stand?
The order by the chief of police is, as far as I know, it's still in effect. I haven't changed. I haven't seen anything where they changed it again. So the last order you saw is still in effect.
Super bad, super bad. And I know it's not like, I'm not mad at you individuals. I think you two are lovely people and good officers and benefit to the community and us. So if my frustration is not to you guys personally, it is obviously to the situation writ large.
Yeah, it is very frustrating, ma'am. I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Courtney?
Yeah, just have two quick questions. Is it discussed at all officially about the erosion of the public trust in the relationship with MPD? Are people talking about it? Are they concerned about it? And then secondly, I'm noticing an accelerating number of businesses from daycare and childcare facilities, clinics, and restaurants are drying up faster than I've ever seen in the last 3 weeks. And what is the plan to bring back the public trust? And do we think that this last 14 number 14 amendments that were passed through the House committee today that are being forwarded to the House of Representatives, is that going to also involve MPD, ICE, and Secret Service? Do you know?
I can't speak on those 14 amendments. I haven't seen
Courtney,
that
we
yet.
can talk about that after. I can talk about that a little bit.
And then about the public trust, I'm just curious, is there any activity regarding that? And are there things that people would like to put in place to assure the public that it can continue to work in tandem with MPD for our overall safety and security, and not feeling like we're co-conspirators and helping to kidnap people off the street?
Mm. Well, we always at MPD trying to, better the public trust and enhance our community policing skills and work with the public. But as far as I can't speak for the federal partners and what they're doing and their changes that they're willing to make.
Okay, thank you.
To assist us.
Thank you. I know you're in a tough position. I think most of us are aware of how difficult this position is, but as a liaison, you appreciate your time, but you are going to hear so much of what is on our minds that we need to express. And and I'm hopeful that it makes a difference and that it goes somewhere, that you're cognizant of how important this is to all of us.
We're well aware. I had these conversations on the street when I'm out at night, and people stop me, and I talk to people, residents, about their concerns, and a lot of people are concerned, and I have these conversations all the time. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Mitchell, go ahead.
Thank you very much. So first, I'd just like to thank you all for MPD for your contributions to the reduction of crime in the area. That's, you know, an environment, like a low crime environment is for sure a goal of this committee. And so with there being some uncertainty around the, what the future holds in terms of the level of federal resources, what changes, if any, would be beneficial for us to try to explore, through our remit is kind of to make recommendations to the council. And so, if there were an ebb and a flow in the level of federal resources in the future, what should we be thinking about right now about, things we could do to try to lock in these gains? Are there any, is there sort of pending legislation? Are there any issues that we should be thinking about or focused on to try to keep crime low, notwithstanding whatever may happen with the federal agency resources in the future?
Well, I guess the mayor has some things that they're putting like forth. I think September 17th, where they're trying to increase the police budget and hire more police officers and get better equipment. We always need that. So that's already going forward. And anything that you see that you want changed, I guess, just write to council and call them and make suggestions. But we definitely are short police officers. We need more MPD officers.
Is that due to a lack of openings or funding or of candidates?
I believe it's a little bit of both, candidates and funding. A lot of people don't want to be the police, and I don't think we had, and I'm sure right now they don't have the funds to hire police as it stands today.
What's the latest in the status of the credentialing of the crime lab?
I'm not sure about the crime lab. It's I don't want to do all the talking here. Is Captain Hass's on the line?
From my understanding, is fully reaccredited, but I don't know if the government of the District of Columbia has yet started working with them, was my understanding.
The crime lab.
I'll jump in with a
There
little
he
bit.
is.
So my understanding is they've gotten their accreditation back, but they're not fully, we're not fully using them yet. But we're not, I could find out more for you, Commissioner Klein, on that, because that's been changing quite a bit. So I'll find out. I'm pretty sure it regained its accreditations in January of this year, but I'm not sure that we're using them for everything just yet because there's been kind of a transition period.
Okay, thank you.
And also, if I could add,
thank you for the promotion to commissioner.
I'm sorry. With Mr. Klein, and I'll just stress that what Lieutenant Johnson has already spoken about. We really value our relationships, and I know it's been a very different in how we've been operating as of late, but please don't forget that you have the same MPD second district, the same leadership, and the same officers out there doing the same thing they've been doing all year. So I haven't, there are some parts of the city that have been affected more, but the second district it's been mostly the same. I mean, we had our last big traffic campaign up on Military Road last week, and it was just MPD doing speed enforcement and red lighting. And so do we, of course, value our federal partners? Of course we do. And you know, but please understand that we are still out there doing our thing, and I've been fortunate, I guess. I've not felt any of the any coldness or anything. I was walking around in Georgetown earlier, and yesterday I was walking around in Friendship Heights. And I'll walk around soon in Woodley Park and Cleveland Park and Glover Park. But yeah, this is, I think, all temporary, and I think we'll get through it very nicely.
Well, thanks for that report and
Can I have
perspective.
a sec, Rick? Can I?
Hold on, Elizabeth has a question, right?
And a follow up. And first of all, thank you, Captain Haskins, because I do think, you know, from direct experience, the second district has been remarkably good partners, and we're very, very lucky to have you all. And it's a real privilege to know you, and we appreciate that you work with us.
Oh,
I just
likewise.
think that, you know, we also look to the whole city that we live in, and even initiatives like having traffic stops or whatever. As citizens, you don't know that you're catching speeders. Suddenly we think, you know, you're kidnapping people again. And, you know, as citizens, we don't really know what's going on. But what I have heard is that people who are documented, undocumented citizens, if they feel that they speak with an accent, that they don't look white, that, you know, they're not coming into town. They're scared. And as neighbors, we're scared for them. And there's a real sense on the streets that people don't know what to expect from law enforcement. When I say law enforcement, I mean everybody. And historically from MPD, you have been very responsive, and it has been very comforting to have a relationship. The head of your police union seems to be very pro what's going on. And when he speaks the news, it seems that he's, you know, to somebody listening, it seems like he speaks for everybody. And I think that it makes people concerned in ways that perhaps you don't appreciate or see. And possibly the people who are feeling at risk, whether they are or not, are just no longer in your flight path because they're staying home. It's been a problem with people taking their children, you know, and one story about some dad being taken off the street after dropping their child off at school. Nobody wants to do that, whether they have the right to be here in this country or not. It's it feels very unpredictable and therefore frightening.
Yeah, I understand your concerns, and you know, there's unfortunately not much we can do here at the second district on what you know, the federal government wants to do.
So, you know, if I could sort of make a comment, and first of all, Captain Haskins, I appreciate everything you and Lieutenant Johnson and the team are doing here, and your perspective is useful. I will offer you know, a slightly different or maybe more complete perspective based on what I hear from some of my neighbors and constituents. You know, there seems to be universal concern about the unpredictable and certainly overreach by ICE and the, you know, misdeployment of the National Guard. You know, I am heartened to hear that MPD is, you know, doing sort of traffic stops and traffic enforcement in the regular course. Just as people have been, you know, heartened that crime statistics generally are going down. You know, there's been concern that, you know, reckless driving and, you know, instances of driving that can affect pedestrian safety, other driver safety are up. And, you know, everyone understands when MPD concentrates resources on serious crime, and there's less to go around on the other important threats. And so I'm glad to see that MPD is doing traffic enforcement. I mean, you know, I imagine sometimes when there are traffic stops, you catch occasionally people on, you know, the warrants outstanding. So there may be some other use. The other concern I hear, again, as crime goes down, is that folks still feel a bit unsafe and a bit unsettled. And, you know, along with law goes order. And there's a feeling that in the last few years, you know, since COVID in particular, if not before, there still has been a sense of general disorder and quality of life issues, and yes, quality of life crimes. And, you know, so the public's concern about the overreach by the federal government shouldn't obscure the fact that people still have these concerns. And, you know, again, I appreciate everything NPD is doing, and hopefully as your resources grow and serious crime continues to go down, you know, there will be enough ability to focus on some of these other issues.
Well, I agree, and thank you very much for that. Yes, we are doing a renewed focus on quality of life crimes, traffic enforcement, and you know, so and there is unfortunately, you know, things, and I'll give you a personal perspective. Somebody right by a block or two from the station is assaulted 2 women walking their dog 2 days ago, and you know the person was not well, and you know we took her into custody. She ended up having multiple warrants, but yeah, no, I could see, but you know, but they called up the police, and from what I heard, and this is all anecdotal, you know, was that this woman had been accosting and bothering people all day on Wisconsin Avenue. And what I wondered is why we didn't hear about it earlier. So maybe we could have stopped that and nipped that in the bud from being a assault. But the person ended up having warrants anyways. Anyhow.
Thank you.
I can also add that the quality of life arrests have been going up with more, you know, police in town, like the public consumption of marijuana, the drinking in public. They've been coming in more frequently in the past couple of weeks than before with more officers out there. We have been seeing more quality of life arrests, more, of course, traffic enforcement has gone up. So a lot of no permits, suspended licenses are coming in because of all of, you know, the traffic stops and the roadblocks and checkpoints that we have set up. So those things have increased.
I'm gonna give the last word to Janelle.
And no, I've not planned any of the roadblocks. There may have been roadblocks downtown, but that's
Yeah.
I have just west of Rock Creek. I don't have downtown, so I don't know anything west of Rock Creek in terms of roadblocks. But Commissioner Pagats, please.
Yeah, I think it's a few points here. It's interesting that, you know, people are so concerned now about traffic safety and pulling people over. It's like one of the bills that's in front of Congress right now is to allow for MPD and whoever to do chases, car chases throughout the district. How is that going to make people more? I'm terrified of that. The other thing I'm terrified of, and I'm speaking as someone with, I'm a white woman with privilege. But there are a number of tourists that come up to me and assume I speak Spanish. So I look enough like that puts it in my mind that I could be snatched and kidnapped, and that's horrifying. Right? So when white men of privilege speak of like, you know, I feel safer. Well, yeah, because you're probably not going to get got in the giant, you know, dragnet that's happening here. So the other thing is like when you speak of, oh, they're picking up more people with warrants. Again, let's go with these 2,300 arrests made since the federalized law enforcement situation happened. Again, 943 of those were ICE arrests. 214 were outstanding warrants. 295 were for narcotics. And alarmingly, only 197 were for firearms. I would think that, you know, like we should be getting more of these firearms off the street with more of these picking up the bad guys things. But it again seems to be focused on an immigration enforcement thing and not getting firearms out of the people's hands who shouldn't have firearms. So I'm just, it's again frustrating, baffling, terrifying. I think we've hammered this point home, but I I don't know. I don't like these measures that are going through Congress at all right now. The other thing is getting rid of automated traffic enforcement and no turn on red. Like, what are we doing here? Like, when people are saying, I think it's great that the feds are here because traffic enforcement is getting better. It's no, we're talking out of both sides of our mouth and not speaking the truth here. So I really appreciate the candor and the honesty with what the captain and lieutenant are saying. And again, I would not want to be in MPD's shoes with this situation that it was foisted upon you. Because I think that excellence is transferable. Motto of MPD. We also had active shooter training at my work today with one of your very excellent colleagues on the emergency response team, presenting to my colleagues. And I know that was a service you guys offered.
Yeah, I'm, which officer? Bunch of them, I was an officer with a bunch of them, so.
Last name is Battle. I'm forgetting, his first name starts with an A, and I don't want to get
That's
his
a great name for an ERT officer. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's not one of the ones I know though, so, but I was just curious.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a great ERT officer.
Yeah, no, I did not know that was a service offer. Incredibly helpful, very, again, engaging with the community that you serve, and providing us with knowledge and information and tools, like for us to help us, but also help you guys, in the long run. So I really, again, wanted to take this opportunity and appreciate that positive aspect, although active shooter training is not great, but it is the world that we live in today.
Unfortunately.
Correct. But yeah, I didn't really have a question there. It's just more of a comment statement.
Yeah, I wish I could comment on like more. I just like our legislative affairs people comment on legislation. It would not be proper for me to comment on legislation or anything like that. Of course, do I have personal views? Of course I do. But it wouldn't be proper for me with the chief's office in charge of all that. They would not be pleased with me if I commented anything.
Understood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Is this can we talk a little bit about whatever's been happening to that woman on Newark Street? Is this the right time, either Adam or Rick?
Sure, go ahead.
I don't know. No, I just saw it on today's listserv that there's a woman who's lived for 60 years on Newark Street who's had somebody essentially break into her house while she was home on, is it 2 occasions? And he seems to be mentally ill. He seems to carry knives. He seems to have gone through her house and hidden knives in different places, and been arrested a couple of times. I don't know any more than what I read on the listserv, but you all must be well aware of this situation. And I gather he has a hearing tomorrow, and she's afraid he could be released because he has continued to come back to her house. But she was also on the listserv just alerting the neighborhood to his existence. And I was wondering if you know about that, and if you do, you might speak to it.
Paul, did you want to speak to it or did you want me to?
Oh, if you could, I'm not familiar with this situation.
I mean, if MPD is.
Do you have the address of it?
I'm trying to find, I don't think she provided the exact
It's on Newark
address.
Street.
But this was a public posting on the listserv, and I'm happy to send it to both of you. And
Yeah, please do, because if there was something involving a night
to react.
threats,
Her name is Linda Miller.
Right.
Yeah,
And she's been in that house 66 years.
but she doesn't give her address though. She says she lives in the vicinity between Newark and
Wisconsin, Newark and Wisconsin.
Wisconsin between Newark and Norton.
Yep.
Might be 12. She might be in 203.
if someone could contact and get us, if she gives us report numbers or give us an address, maybe we could give you more about that. But I haven't heard anything what you're describing in that area lately.
Do you have time to, I would, if you would be interested, I can read her posting.
Well, maybe the best thing to do would be to just put it in the chat or send it. I mean, I would propose, to sort of use the officer's time efficiently. We can send the posting, put it in the chat. I'll also reach out to her and, ask if she'll provide her address, and we'll forward that unless it's publicly available.
Well, it just sounds like it's very possible that he'll be released tomorrow and come back to her house. And I think she's quite concerned for her own safety because it's been something of a repetitive pattern. And he's, he seems mentally ill, but claims that essentially he's a tenant there as opposed to an invader. And I was just wondering if she's getting extra attention in the next few days, or if anybody at MPD is following the case at all to know whether he's in or out.
I'm not sure if I have the exact address. I know we're following somebody who recently got arrested for unlawful entry and threats. I'm not sure if it's the same.
That's perhaps it.
Let's see.
I don't know if I can.
Yeah, that sounds like it, because she also said something about stalking.
He's going to be arraigned tomorrow if it's the one I'm thinking about.
Yes, that's exactly right.
If I could give you all an update. How about who wants an email from me on an update on that tomorrow? Yeah, go ahead. Or from Lieutenant Johnson.
Why don't you send it to Commissioner Prinzo and me, and we'll make sure we distribute it to everybody else on the call.
Righty.
And will she be getting additional supervision or?
I'll look into it some more and see what's been set up, if anything's been set up, and if nothing's been set up, we'll set something up.
Thank you very much, Captain Haskis. That's
anytime. And if the chat wasn't disabled, I'd drop my email in the chat, but if you could forward me that posting as well.
I'll do that.
Hold on, I can undisable it. I don't know why it is. Oh, I can.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I just fixed it. I think.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for bringing that up. That was really heavy. I read that right before this meeting started. It sounded pretty scary.
Yeah, no, he's down at Central Cell Block now, so I've been following that.
Thank you.
Yes, and we'll provide an update tomorrow, and that's my email if you could send that message as well. Thank you.
All right. I would like to thank both Captain Haskis and Lieutenant Johnson for coming today. And we will see them next month.
Thank you all for what you do, for everybody.
And
Everybody on the call, by the way.
And we really enjoy our working with you all because we have the same goals, having a safe neighborhood, and so please keep in touch.
Okay, well, thank you again, gentlemen.
And if you guys are at Art All Night, or any of your friends and colleagues, come stop by our tent. We'll be at Art All Night tomorrow night by the 7-Eleven, making friendship.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Everybody be safe. See you next month.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. Before we move on, I will just take a couple minutes here to talk about two things, and then we'll get into the resolution quickly. What Courtney was talking about yesterday is today, is the 14 bills that were in the House Oversight Committee yesterday for markup. I will read them quickly, and we can talk about them just briefly and see if anybody wants to do anything about them or send something formal. But
Sorry, Adam,
yes,
in the interest of time and
I'll put them in the chat,
there's also only 4 that are scheduled to be
voted on.
next week.
Do we know which 4?
I sure do.
Please let me, can you just give me the number?
To interject too, my apologies, but I'm gonna have to drop for a work call, but I appreciate, Adam, you're continuing to chair. I realize how late it is for you.
That's no problem.
I have to take this other meeting, so
Okay.
thanks very much,
Thank you.
everybody. It was good discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first one is HR 4922, DC criminal reforms to immediately make everyone safer.
So that is to limit youth offender status in the District of Columbia to individuals 18 years of age or younger, to direct the Attorney General of the District of Columbia to establish and operate a publicly accessible website containing updated statistics on juvenile crime in the district, and to amend the District of Columbia Home Rule Act to prohibit the Council of the District of Columbia from enacting changes to existing criminal liability sentences and for other purposes. I am putting this in the chat since that's very descriptive.
HR 5140, District of Columbia Juvenile Sentencing Reform Act.
Okay. What was that one? 20?
5140. I
To
can
lower
also
the age at the so this would lower the age to be tried as an adult to 14,
from
but
16.
only within the District of Columbia.
HR 5143, District of Columbia Policing Protection Act.
This would allow MPD to do vehicular pursuits within the boundaries of the District of Columbia.
And HR 5125, District of Columbia Judicial Nominations Reform Act.
This would terminate the District of Columbia Judicial Nominating Commission, which I can explain what that does quickly. Since we're not a state, we don't have what's called the blue slip process in the Senate. So when the president nominates a judge to sit on one of the circuit courts, the 2 senators from said home state have to give a blue slip approval of said nomination. And it's tradition that if they do not receive that slip, that the Senate won't take it up. Because we don't have senators, the Judicial Nominating Commission is authorized with the mayor and the delegate for the district, Eleanor Holmes Norton, to recommend to the president a list of people who we are okay with to serve as a judge on the DC Superior Court. And that is given the blue slip as opposed to having the senator sign it. So that's what the Judicial Nominating Commission is. So these are obviously 4 that are coming up more recently. I don't know if anybody has any thoughts, or do we want, I mean, not that if we were to send in a letter, it would not really be given any sort of weight. But open to people's ideas.
Don't you think that often resolutions are statements of moral purpose as opposed to actual levers of power? I mean, I think there's probably a lot of problematic things happening here. Charging people over 14 as adults, I find the most egregious. Just because they don't have the rights and privileges of adults, it's a very imbalanced, if, I would put that line at least 18. I think that juveniles deserve different handling and considerations than adults do. And that one is the one that I might choose to make a statement about.
It's currently 16, but
Personally.
which is also still not great. You're still not
Right.
dealing with
But
a
still.
fully
Well,
formed brain.
It is 16, but I think it's 16 under like limited circumstances.
14 is ridiculous, though. 14 is like 8th grade.
No, 14 is totally ridiculous. I think it's 16 now, but with the caveat that the crime has to be violent.
Certain violent offenses, for example, murder, first-degree sexual abuse, burglary in the first degree, and robbery while armed. So yeah, I agree, like resolutions are the moral purpose, or that's yes. But I think the opportunity of the call to action here with the community at writ large, right? DC is transient. Like there people from a ton of other places. What is going to be more effective is to get DC residents to say, hey, congressperson, I grew up there. I went to school there. I have family that lives there. I live in the district now. I need your help, like, to not pass these garbage things that ruin my community and my quality of life here in the district. You represent my family, a lot of good ties, a lot of good connections back there, but I need you over here right now, right? Because we don't have representation. So it, like, us being the ANC, being just as district residents, like going and papering and handing out literature to congressional offices, whether it be on the House or the Senate side, isn't as effective as having that reason, that personal connection, that ability to get you. I mean, Adam worked on the Hill. Like, you're taking a meeting from your constituent before you're taking a meeting from, the random person that isn't going to give your campaign money and isn't going to vote for you either. So I think there's there. And I think by, even if it's passing, the statements and giving that to the community and then making that call to action of like, here, take this.
Well, we could do that.
Or-
We could pass a statement with we could pass a statement. I mean, sorry, my brain is fried. We could pass a statement and give that to people.
Correct.
Right.
No, that's what I'm saying. We should be more intentional about that avenue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm sorry.
Elizabeth, you're sort of nodding, but sort of blinking a lot. So
No.
So what she's saying, at least my understanding is that we pass a statement that this is the official stance, like as opposed to a letter that goes to Congress.
Right.
We pass a statement that this is the official stance of ANC3C on these bills. Oh, by the way, here's the congressional switchboard. Call your Congress people from back home and say, I live here, and we could phrase it as a talking point.
My only, I don't think that's a bad idea. My only reservation is I think, particularly given Charlie Kirk this week, that there are lots of people who are feeling vindictive and like retribution should be exacted. And I wonder if maybe it's more propitious to be quiet than once again. I mean, I think that, Washington really is a very liberal progressive demographic in general. And Congress seems poised to punish us for that.
May I say, Elizabeth, I agree with you, but I think being quiet has never worked.
Okay.
Never.
That's what I was thinking though. Like when Janelle was saying, like I was, my face was,
Yeah, but
I don't want to bring them down on us.
no, you can't. I mean, you can do it just by being.
Right.
They've already, they're already extra. I mean, they're already doing stupid stuff. Why would you want to incarcerate a 14-year-old? You know, I mean, I know crimes are violent. My stepfather used to head the John Howard Pavilion at St. Elizabeth, and there was a playground on the grounds of St. Elizabeth that I thought was for visiting children. It was not, it was for inmates. So there are ways to handle violent crime, especially that it's born of mental illness, that has nothing to do with incarceration at that level, and it's not going to do anybody any good. They've been gunning for this. This is like another prize in the, or another feather in the hat, just to encroach upon DC for
Right.
because it does work. It's not perfect, but it works, and they're just resentful of that. So there's no way to appease them in silence or nice. You just have to lay it out and be willing to fight for it, is my understanding. So
They've been gunning for this since
Yeah,
days of Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
From
that I think is
Abraham
true.
Lincoln until last month, guard troops, military from the South did not step their boots in the District of Columbia ever. From the days of Lincoln until last month.
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't put that into enough perspective and aren't freaking out as much as they should be.
Because they don't know.
I apparently live in like a paranoid state of like, oh dear God, like this is bad. But
Because it's bad.
Right. Yes, but like when you acknowledge Lincoln, like the reason people want to get back at DC, Lincoln freed the slaves in the one place he could do it, the District of Columbia.
He started it there, but I will say from 1850 on, when there were twice as many free people of color working in the District of Columbia than there were enslaved people, we have been in the crosshairs of this of those who were in favor of exploitation and slavery. So it has just been an experiment. This is the nation's capital. This is the place where it's supposed to work, but it doesn't work. And as every time we get close to working, we get this. So there's no appeasing, my opinion. So
Hey, this is Mitchell. I'll just hop in, offer what I think is probably a minority viewpoint on this group that I would not I would be hesitant to for the ANC to issue resolutions directed at Congress related to this pending legislation, because I understand it to be the remit of the ANC to, I guess in the DC code, advise the Council of DC, the mayor, executive agencies in other bodies within DC government. And that's, I think, the way that I'll just call it the Prinzo resolution is, I think, helpfully and carefully tailored to the mayor, the attorney general of DC, and other entities that really must, under DC law, give the ANC's exhortations some weight. And so I think that there's no question that there's a role for the ANC right now, and I think that resolution's probably a good example of it. But I don't know about lobbying Congress on this pending legislation, even in the form of like just like talking points that community members could use in the guise of a resolution. But you know, I recognize that that's maybe just sort of not the way others feel, and I'm okay. I understand that.
Mitchell, respectfully, the President of the United States and everybody in his administration has thrown the Constitution out the window, and they're not following the rules. So I don't understand why, like, we would be held to a stricter standard than what's happening right now, where you're seeing the judiciary after, like, court after court after court say what they're doing is completely in violation of multiple laws.
Yeah, I guess this is just my own personal viewpoint of trying to focus the ANC's energy on ways that can be most effective. And in my view, those are, you know, lobbying the DC government entities that have to give our views great weight. But I respect the opinion of others on the group, you know, that want to use the ANC differently, and I understand that. I just thought I would throw that in there.
All right. Well, I can draft something. I will try to draft something. Mindful that I am not in your time zone. And send it to you all. I'll try to make it short-ish. And we can take input and see what people think. And it just because I drafted doesn't mean we have to vote on it and on Monday. Our meeting's Monday, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just because I drafted doesn't mean we have to offer it or vote on it, but I do think that there is, you know, part of what I view this role as too is also to educate my constituents as to what is going on and what is going to affect them on a day-to-day basis. And this is something that will affect us all. I mean, one of the 14 bills that we are luckily not voting on next week is to just abolish the entire office of the DC Attorney General entirely, and make it a presidential appointment that does not require Senate confirmation. So who knows who the president would pick to be the next DC Attorney General. So I just think that there's a lot that people that live here need to know, and I think that that's some information that people would be interested in being vocal and advocate about because it would affect them on a day-to-day basis. I mean, who wants a high-speed chase by a school? It's a little dangerous. I don't, you know, there's sidewalks in my SMD that are flat out closed and kids walk in the street and God forbid a high-speed chase just starts. Like, granted, the kids should not be walking in the street, but that's not the point. So I just think that there's a part of this role is to definitely educate our constituents.
Yeah,
And educate might be a bad word, but
no, I totally agree because it's a fire hose of information, and the more you know, the more you feel empowered to speak up. But also to your this speeding one, apparently, oh, the bill would further amend the 2022 Act to develop a trial system that would alert members of the public to police pursuits in their immediate vicinity. So as long as you're looking at your phone when the police pursuit starts, you should get an alert to get out of the way, I guess.
Most 8-year-olds have that too.
Well, I don't know how
do 8-year-olds have phones now?
that's very true.
No,
She was
like no, like what did no. That was sarcastic.
Okay,
Yes.
because I listen. I don't know what the rule. I didn't get a phone until I was
The
granted.
new rule is that no kid should have flip phones and anything but flip phones till like they're well into high school. Just that's a whole different educational thing. So less little kids are not walking around with phones for that kind of thing. The other thing is that there's so much camera technology out there that you can radio ahead, you can follow these cars to where they're going. You don't need to chase them through the streets to their final destination. So you can pretty much track them with all these license plate trackers and
Well, I
everything.
think that's what they were doing, and they were
Right.
using the helicopter too.
Right. There's other ways that don't imperil citizens.
Right. And then what we saw that was evident when the National Park Service police decided to go on their high-speed chases, and they did
Right.
8 of them, 6 resulting in crashes. It's like,
Right.
does that really work? I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem worth it. And I think they were like minor infractions. Like, I think one was like they were trying to pull somebody over because their tint was too dark in their car. Like, does is that should is that violation enough to
Right.
trigger a high-speed chase? No. It's like
But they have the capacity to run the plates and figure out where that car lives. So
yeah. So
anyway, forgive me, but I need to leave too. But I really appreciate you all. I think everybody was incredibly thoughtful and productive, as you always are, but it's been a while. So, and it was helpful to talk to MPD. So
yeah.
thank you all.
I have to give kudos to everybody for their diplomacy, and kudos to Janelle for really focusing on things and getting to the point, but never, very, very always tactfully so, even with passion. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you appreciate my venting, and I apologize, and I hope I didn't offend anyone. But like, it's just like, ugh.
It all needs saying, and I think it also needs hearing.
yeah, I agree.
So I appreciate everybody very much.
Elizabeth, before you go, there is a resolution that I attached. If you could look at it and then let us know your thoughts.
You attached.
And the email. I can put it in the chat too.
Oh, no. As long as it's an email, that's fine. Have you already written one?
So this one is about pushing the mayor and the deputy mayor and the MPD chief to work their contacts with their federal partners to have federal agents wear badges, name tags,
Oh,
and not wear
I
masks.
fully support that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fully. I don't need to read that.
Well,
Thank you.
you could hear it in Paul's what he was saying. He is not in favor of them being masked, and
Right.
yeah, he was diplomatic as well, but he made it clear that he feels the sting of that. So
Right.
Yeah.
No, that is an important one. And thank you for doing it.
yes, thank you, Adam.
And in that active shooter training that I had earlier today, the officer was talking about how that team wears black shirts and black vests so
Mhm.
that they're always able to see like where each other are. And like he also informed the, less obsessed people in my office about how like regular MPD officers, patrol officers wear the blue shirts because he wants to know where those guys are too and which ones are on his team, and like all of the other agencies, like they all know what colors they're wearing. And I think with these randos carrying guns, like it kind of is upsetting. Like it probably is incredibly operationally difficult.
Yeah.
Should like something need this emergency response team to come, and like you're trying to respond to the situation in front of you while trying to figure out who's around you, behind you, and like, right? I
And
can't.
there's some people who go cosplaying at it too, just because it's fun to scare people. Like, are they really? So
Right. So I think it behooves. I would wish that the police union chief would be on the side of that because that's protecting his members.
one would think.
Right. Well, that makes sense. So it probably isn't something he supports.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Guys, go to I'm way
But,
late.
yeah, thank you all again for your time and appreciate
Thank
y'all.
you all.
Thanks,
Thank you
thanks
all.
everyone.
for
Thank
climate experts.
you.
And special thanks, Adam, for chiming in from across the seas,
I mean,
above and
It is
beyond.
1:30 in the morning and I will be going to bed.
Sleep tight. Good night.
All right.
ever.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.